Hi, everyone. I'm Amy.
And I'm Audrea.
This is the right crowd, so grab a cup of coffee.
Or a thermal of protein drink.
That works too. Maybe something on the rocks, whatever floats your boat today. And let's get started. All right, guys, we are almost done. 27 Essential Principles of Story. Audrey, how long have we been working on this book?
6 years.
6 years. That's how long we've been working. It feels that way, considering we've only known each other for just at 7 years. I'm thinking it's a little bit of a stretch, but it feels like we've been working on it forever. And this week we're throwing up a little change. We're going to do 4 chapters instead of 2. So we will do this recording and then we will have one more. We'll do the last 4 chapters in another recording. And then we'll do a wrap-up video and we will be done.
Yes, we will be done.
And we have to decide what else we're doing.
Yeah. And if you guys have any ideas, put them in the chat. Let us know. Send us a carrier pigeon or an owl as they do at home.
Ooh, I'll take an owl. All right, so chapters 20 to 23 are the ones we are doing, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And for those of you who, for whatever reason, are joining us midstream, we are nascent or beginner writers, and we usually talk about author craft, author books, review them, and author classes and conferences, etc. And this book we've been doing a book club on for a little while. And we are in the 3rd section of the book. And this book I highly recommend. We both highly recommend the book. We've gotten a lot out of it. And all right, let's go with chapter 20, link inextricably to your setting.
I'm so glad you said.
That's a good one. That's a doozy.
Because I don't know that I would have not been able to say it right. Okay, cool. All right. Do you have anything from the quick take section? For those that are just starting, the first section, they always do a quick take.
Thank you for putting it out.
Yeah. So quick take section. Do you have anything?
All right. So yes, this principle is about how setting impacts every other element of your story. This is how Mr. Rubin has worded it. The characters, what they do, how they live, how they communicate, and how their fates are sealed. And he says that linking inextricably, did it again, to your setting means that you evoke such a strong sense of place and time that the characters could not come from anywhere else at any other time. And I love how he put that, because some authors, they do a great job of making their setting like another character. I read a book set in Savannah, and it was like Savannah was doing a lot of the talking in Savannah, Georgia was doing so much of the heavy lifting in that book. I'll have to try and remember. It's an old book, but a lot of books do that. They use their setting so well, and that's what he's talking about in this one. So let's move on to how it works.
So how it works, there wasn't a lot on the first page that I pointed out, that my first thing that I wrote out, because the thing that I wanted to talk about in quick takes was the same thing you talked about. So I have nothing else to add to that. So this one is one of the fundamental elements of weak writing is a lack of specificity.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I like how it was basically like, if it's generic, you could plop it into the setting and it wouldn't change a thing.
Mhm.
And that's not what we're looking for.
Right.
So, and then he goes through all the different categories of things that could be parts of your setting that make the change and that help it be specific to your book.
Which I think is really good, especially for beginner writers or any writer, actually. Some of those are, of course, it's landscape, it's weather, it's culture, it's economy, government, etc. If you're writing speculative fiction, it would be maybe your magic system is important, monsters, powers, and so forth. If they're gods and demons and paranormal, all of that stuff is part of what we call world building. And he mentions a lot of those aspects in how it works. and what you should and where you should spend your time writing that all that stuff out or coming up with it, even if you're doing a contemporary. A lot of people don't think about that. For my cozy mystery, I had to sit down and think because I made up one of the towns. Actually, I made up two towns, and one of them had to have Elvises in it. And so I had to come up with a reason why this town was a magnet or a place where a lot of Elvis impersonators would congregate, other than Memphis or Vegas. Why would there be Elvises in this town? So I had to come up with that. And then I did things like I had a Don't Be Cruel, which a lot of people have used Don't Be Cruel, but that was the craft shop and an ice cream shop that had an Elvis theme and all that stuff. So I like how he laid it all out. And then anything else from you in what it is?
Only towards the end of that last paragraph. He says, you want enough detail to evoke a specific time and place, but not so much that you waste time and drain your battery crystallizing things that don't directly shape your characters and add insight into how they live. You want to approach this from two angles. One, 30,000-foot view. And then within this larger framework, you want to create richly detailed locations. So you want the top view, and then it's like a camera going in to where you see all the little things.
And that's a good point. I was on a conference call with some other writers, and they were talking about applications that they use to make maps of their towns. And there was thriller writers, mystery writers, romance writers. Some of them, if they write a series and it occurs in the same town, like these mountain man romances, so they don't get mixed up from book to book if it's in the same location that's made up. They do have maps. They either draw themselves or have an artist draw or have a program draw it up so they can make sure when she goes to the candy shop, she's going
To the right candy shop.
to the right candy shop. I have one other thing down there. It's just the last one. Above all, have fun with this. It's your world. When you imbue it with personality, depth, and specificity, your readers, viewers sense it and you earn their affection and respect, which is fun. I'm going to say one more example is the MC Beaton series that I read. I read two of them. One of them is set in Scotland. Sorry, I have to say it like that.
Scotland.
And the other one is set in the Cotswolds. And the way she describes the Cotswolds, I just want to go there. And I know all the little towns that Agatha Raisin goes to, and I want to go see those towns. So if you do a really good job with bringing your settings to life, people are going to not just want to return to the characters, but return to the location and the settings.
There is a series on TV my mom and I used to watch.
Midsummer Murders.
Midsummer Murders. It's an actual town, and they do a tour. Fans come from all over the world, and they do a tour through this town and show you all the places the characters were, which I think is like super cool.
Oh, I want to do that. I didn't know they did a tour. I love Midsummer Murders.
Yeah.
That is
Because my mom and I were like, I wonder if this is like a real place. Like, is this? And then we looked it up, and it is a real place and you can have a tour. They book tours. There's a tour group.
Yeah. That little county in England is the deadliest place in the world, second only to Cabot Cove, the U.S. But yeah, I love Midsummer Murders. It is one of the longest running TV series.
I love it.
Mystery series.
I do want to point back, though, he does not leave you hanging. He gives you questions to ask within the categories. So we didn't point that out. But each category is a list of questions to ask for your character or for your story for that specific thing. So I just want to point that out before we move. Okay.
Awesome.
Next section is how a master did it. He used the brief, wondrous life of Oscar Wu. Did you read it?
Oscar Wilde. No, I did not read it, and I would never have read it, although it was an award-winning. I think is this the one where he won a Pulitzer Prize?
He won a Pulitzer Prize.
Yeah.
But for other people, it was great.
Yeah.
Which is cool. It makes for a great example of how you do this.
And I want to just set up for everybody else who are following along at home. He uses so many different media throughout this book for every one of the essential principles of story. He uses at least one, well, always one, if not two or three to illustrate the principle. And a lot of them we've seen or read. One of
Right.
them was a song by Eminem. I mean, he's just done a wonderful job.
He's
So
done every medium.
every medium. But never fear, if you are not familiar with it, he always pulls out exactly whatever part of that story, song, comic book, or whatever it is, and goes in depth to
Right.
illustrate the point or the essential.
Right. Okay, so did you have anything to point out about the story? Because I don't usually comment on the story in these videos, so I don't really have anything to point out about the story. Was there anything you wanted to point out?
Sometimes I do, but for this one, it's set in New Jersey, and then he goes to Santo Domingo, and he talks about how the author brought a lot of it to life with the food and the culture and the music and all that stuff. And he does a great job of illustrating it, but I didn't have anything else to point out there.
Cool. So the section after that is always how you do it. And he breaks down what you need to do in order to do the specific principle that he is talking about. I did have a couple of things highlighted in there, but did you want to point anything out first?
And the how you do it? No, go ahead.
Okay. My first thing that he has, he's talking about setting and how it can be as vast as a planet or as small as a prison cell. He says the more specific you make your world, the more universal it feels.
And that's so weird. But it's true, but it's so weird to think.
Yep. And then he makes 4 or 5 points on this, but one of the other points says, as you create your world, look for those details that spark images in your readers' minds. Like, I have a very vivid imagination. So when I read, I see the story in my head. That's why sometimes I won't watch the movie because it messes up with what I've already made the book into in my head. And I like my imagination. I don't want to change it. So there's a lot of movies I won't watch if I've already read the book because I don't want to mess with what I thought the book was. But he's right. If you make it good enough, your readers are going to have all of those ideas are just going to come to life in their brains. He also says, you'll know you have it when it's impossible to imagine changing the setting without changing something fundamental about the characters.
Yep, I had that same one highlighted.
If you try to change something and it completely messes everything up, you know you got it right.
Yep.
And he uses different people, but like Gandalf and the Cookie Monster, change anything about those guys in it or where they're at. Could you imagine, switch those two people?
Yeah, that would not work.
It doesn't work. No, that would be hilarious. So, a Sesame Street, Lord of the Rings. Come on.
Surprised they haven't done it, actually. They must have done some sort of skit.
Someone's going to watch this video and be like,
or Muppets, rather.
This is the first time I think we've highlighted the same thing in the chapters.
Yeah.
All right.
That's my thinking.
Oh.
All right. So as he does, the next part is a mini final exam to test if your knowledge. And then, of course, is the continuing ed, which was a podcast in this case. So see, he uses all sorts of things. It was an episode of This American Life. And I did like the way he talked about it. But that particular episode of This American Life was from 2017, and I hadn't read that one.
I've never read it before. So, all right. And then he does give you the answer for his quiz. And whether you got it right or you got it wrong, whatever, it is what it is. But that's that. Now, moving on, chapter 21, unless you had something else for chapter 20.
I did not have anything else for chapter 20. Very excited about chapter 21 because I know that medium intimately. So this one is exceed expectations, which I love that principle of story. The idea that you want to figure out what the expectation is for your genre and how to exceed it, how to not just promise, but over deliver when it comes to the story, that type of story, that genre. And I'm going to read the top here. Genre is the style, like a Western or romance, etc. When people come to a story, they bring a set of expectations based on medium and genre. You, as the storyteller, need to know the inherent strengths of your medium and the conventions of your genre, so that when you make a promise to terrify or to crack up or incite, inspire, you deliver what people expect, but in your own unique way. And I just like the way I like the way he puts all this stuff. But it's a great way to explain how to come to the genre and meet expectations.
And then the next, and I didn't highlight anything in that section. So how it works, I highlighted something in the second paragraph. When you write in the medium and genre that you love, it gives you the strength, courage, and endurance necessary to become truly great. You can only master what you love. And what's interesting about that statement is that I'm in the middle of writing a cozy mystery. I have yet to read a cozy mystery that I've made it to the end of.
Really?
I haven't been able to find one. And I've tried multiple authors.
I don't doubt it. But so do you like noir instead, or maybe thriller? Maybe you should write a cozy thriller.
Well, this one, what I'm writing, I'm enjoying. Like, I'm enjoying the story that I'm writing, but I haven't been able to find a cozy mystery book where I was like, oh my gosh, where's the next one?
Mm.
So I don't know.
Well, we'll have to talk off camera, and we'll tell you guys what you what, but because I'm not going to suggest other ones for you, but maybe we can talk about other genres, or because I read across the entire spectrum of crime except for true crime. I don't read a lot of thrillers, but I have read thrillers and some serial killer stuff. I have a couple that are supposed to be cozy serial killer. Well, not cozy, but they've made the serial killer be more what's the word? Sympathetic, which is something that they did with Dexter years ago. Dexter was highly sympathetic. And Tony Soprano, not a serial, well, it's arguably, he could have been a serial killer, but made him very sympathetic. But we digress. Let's get back to how it works with regard to exceeding expectations. I want to go back to, in every chapter, he has a quote by an artist, author, etc. And I forgot about this one, but it's from Quentin Tarantino, the esteemed filmmaker. And he says, I want to top expectations. I want to blow you away. And I think that is exactly what Mr. Tarantino does in every film.
Yes, it is quintessential Tarantino.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be more than what you thought it was going to be.
You're going to get more than you paid for when you sit down.
Yes.
I remember my first Quentin Tarantino film.
I did too.
It's like my brain was just blown. Like I didn't know, but I thought.
And then it was like, oh wait, this was Quentin Tarantino. I like that last one.
Yeah, now it's like that. Oh, what's he gonna do now? He
But
went.
you know what? It's the same way the other direction. If there's someone I don't like, kind of really don't care who's in the movie, because the person, like, disappointed. Like Oliver Stone, he's great. Like, some people love Oliver Stone. I won't watch an Oliver Stone movie.
If you don't like,
But it doesn't matter who's in the movie. But yeah, Quentin Tarantino. Yeah. I mean, sometimes I'll even see the preview and be like, oh, but it's Quentin Tarantino. So
yeah.
well, I'm really not going to watch it.
I know. And an example of that is he made, what was it? Was it Crazy Eight? He made a Western. I mean, he's made so many different movies, but he made a Western. And I think it was called Crazy Eight or Deadly Eight. I can't remember exactly, but it was a Western. I do not like Westerns. That's the genre I do not like. I won't watch. Sometimes I'll watch a parody or a comedy because then it's a comedy with people in cowboy boots and. But generally, I don't like Westerns. I bought a ticket for that movie and I enjoyed the heck out of it. All right, so I don't think I had anything else in that particular section.
Okay. So I also have down, what is it about your unique skill set and the story you need to tell that makes it ideally suited for a given medium? And he, in this chapter, talks a lot about being a playwright and writing scripts, and taking your poems and turning them into scripts. But I like that he is like, what is it about what you do that is unique? And how can you make it the best that it can be in a medium that works for what you're trying to do? And then he also says, it's a convention when it's written at top of your intelligence and integral to your story. It's a cliche when it's carelessly executed, done without soul, heart, or brains.
Yeah.
And I literally wrote I haven't written anywhere else. I only highlight in this book. I haven't written anything in the book before. I don't remember writing anything in the book. I literally was like, hey, where's your pen? And I literally wrote so that I would remember, don't be cliche.
Yeah.
All right. So How a Master Did It.
Yes.
30 Rock, Jack Tour from 2008. This one's all you.
That written by Tina Fey and Robert Carlock. All right, so 30 Rock. I love 30 Rock. Love this series. Love Tina Fey. Almost just in about anything she does. So what he is illustrating with this particular episode of 30 Rock is how they wrote this episode with so many points of conflict going on throughout the episode. Robert Carlock and Tina Fey, so that they exceeded the typical expectations you'd have for a sitcom. That's what it is. It's a sitcom. It's 30 minutes, 27 minutes with all the commercials. They've got to have this situation play out and get all the yucks, all the laughs in. And I'm going to just talk about a couple of the conflicts he says. He has Lemon, which is Liz Lemon, the character from 30 Rock, has conflict with her conservative boss. She has conflict with her quirky African-American star, Tracy Jordan. She has conflict with her narcissistic blonde best friend, Jenna Maroney. And she has conflict in her personal life, or that she has a lack of it. So that's 4 conflicts. And they have multiple storylines, and they use cutaways to illustrate things. They have jokes that are dealing with politics and race and gender, and all of this is in the chapter. And then all of the storylines he has, some of them get uncomfortable, the ones with Tracy Jordan pretending that he can't read. It's hilarious. And it becomes a race thing, and it's played so beautifully, and they turn it back on him at the end. And this show is from 2008. So, and then all the storylines, they have all that going on, and they wrap up all of that stuff. They keep you invested during the entire episode, and they make you laugh throughout. And they make you uncomfortable, and then they make you. It's just it's a good show. But that episode, they say, is one of the best episodes of any sitcom, and all the storylines end on a positive note, or positive enough, as he says in the book. And I liked the episode, and I really liked how he used this particular episode to illustrate exceeding expectations, because I think the whole show exceeded expectations for a sitcom. It was so smart. A lot of the sitcoms that came out back then or before then were kind of like, there were pratfalls. If you think of Three's Company and shows like that, it was goofy, or there were misunderstandings that were pretty obvious and all they had to do was ask a question. But this one was funnier, and it was on so many different levels that's why this particular show and this particular episode exceeded expectations for sitcom.
Nice. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. And he has pages and pages. All of the stuff that she just said, he explains it.
Mhm.
And he goes through the whole thing, and he not highlights, but he bold the point. He gives you the information, and then he bolds the point that goes with what he's talking.
So the way he has written it out, you could use this and have it in front of you and watch this episode again and see how it is played out. That would be if you wanted to see how it's done in real life.
That's cool. All right, how you do it. So after every one of his examples, he goes through and gives you all the things that you need to do. This one, I feel like is more of his how you do it, more what's the word I'm looking for? You could actually sit down and do like what he's saying to do. Get a piece of paper and do these things right now.
Yes.
Like an assignment kind of thing.
Yeah.
I feel like this chapter is more of a assignment type how you do it.
I love the assignment type stuff. I mean, he's done this before. Some of them are more intellectual, like think about what this would mean in your world of your work in progress, etc. But this one, he does set it up more like an assignment, and you can write it all out.
I just noticed what your shirt says. Now, what's funny, yours says stay negative.
Yes.
Mine says sunshine and coffee, which I
Oh.
kind of feel like is just the opposite.
I think so. We're juxtaposed today.
That was hilarious. I just noticed it. I was like, she says stay negative and mine says sunshine and coffee.
And we plan our outfits, everybody.
No, we don't. That's hilarious. Okay. Was there anything in that? There's one I wanted to read, but is there any of these how you do it that you wanted to point out?
You know what? I love all of his how you do it. And the next time I talk to Mr. Rubin, you know, Josh, we should be pals as much time as I spent with him in this book. But I'm gonna say, you know what? Just come up with a book. Just take all the how you do it and make a great workbook out of, because it's excellent.
We should tell him that.
We should tell him that. He should do that. Yes, we should tell him that.
We should tell him.
Okay. But I know I don't have anything particular.
Okay.
I just want just one thing. Do the how you do it, people. Every chapter,
Yes.
do all the how you do it. You'll become a
You
better writer.
could workshop your own work.
You really could. And I have become a better writer. I have learned things about my current work in progress and other stories and things that I've been writing throughout this book. Go ahead, Amy.
Which means he has done his job.
Yes.
And who we're talking about is Daniel Joshua Rubin. That's who okay. So the last one he says is before you start a new story, which to me, I feel like I start new stories all the time. List the conventions of the genre or combination of genres of your story. So like my cozy right now, it's a cozy mystery, but it's going to have a sweet romance in it. And it's going to be detective all at the same time. And there's going to be recipes. But he says, what absolutely must happen and how will you avoid cliches? Knowing this will help you start off on the right foot. So write down what you're doing and then how can you make it not be cliche and go from there. And then he has his mini final exam. Okay, end of that chapter. Anything else?
No, nothing else for that one. All right, so now we are on to chapter 22, Craft Actionable Dialogue.
And Ralph Waldo Emerson says, speech is power. Speech is to persuade, comfort, to compel.
Basically, yep.
And that's it. That's the chapter.
That's a good. All right, moving on.
Chapter 23. Okay. A quick take. Anything in there you want to point out?
Yes, you always let me go first, and then you say, you said what I was going to say. You go
okay.
first this time.
Well, no, because then you'll say, but that's what I was going to say.
I will. All right, so I've got a great dialogue is fueled by strategic battles to achieve specific objectives by characters trying to get other characters to do things, which is basically another take on that quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson. And I said, and I highlighted to write dialogue. And for those of you who are noticing me look off camera, I've got the Kindle version or the e-version on my other screen instead of the physical book. I have this book in 3 formats, at least 3. To write dialogue that jumps off the page, that's dynamic and revelatory, scintillating, original, and alive, you need to do some work to understand the characters and the situation they're in. And where have we heard that before? in many of the other chapters about principles of story. What else do you have?
That was what I was gonna say.
That was the quick tip. You're
But we knew that was where this was going, so it's
yeah.
okay.
And you guys, the quick take is this big, so there's always
Yeah.
something juicy in it.
Alright, so how it worked. He does reference back to chapter 15 where we talk about right characters at the top of their intelligence. But this is what I highlighted for this part. But they can't just be plain stupid or they become uninteresting, repetitive, and dismissible. Characters who operate at the top of their intelligence push each other to reveal more of their true natures. And I like that.
I like that too, and I like when we first went over right characters at the top of their intelligence, I thought, "Well, would you write them at the bottom of their intelligence? I don't understand." But then you read the chapter and you get it. Characters at the top of their intelligence are more compelling for people to watch. And like in that last chapter where we were talking about Liz Lemon, in order to trick her star of the show into revealing that he actually could read and to get him to do something, she did some really outrageous things and he showed himself. She was performing at the top of her intelligence. When he pretended he could not read the first time, he was performing at the top of his intelligence. He realized she had reached a certain conclusion about him that was wrong. He realized she had done that. And he also realized that she was uncomfortable with the knowledge that with the thought that he could not read because she was a white woman and he was a black man. So he used all of that to manipulate her so he could get something. And then at the end, she turned it back on him. And that's why it's so funny. It was because both of them were acting at different stages at the top of their intelligence. And I went on a little bit about that one because I liked it so much. Okay, let's go on.
Okay. And that was good. All right. So he goes through what that means in different things, like their basic biography, worldview, temperament, what they need from the other characters, how they expect the other characters to respond. He goes through all of those things. A couple of things I have highlighted is that generally speaking, every character you create should have their own unique temperament. And he uses Lord of the Rings again and goes through the main characters. And even though they're all in the same movie, they're all accomplishing the same thing. They all have their own unique thing, which makes us love some of them and hate some of them,
Yes.
which is the way it's supposed to be. And then the other thing I highlighted is that dialogue must be actionable. Of course, it's essential to know that each character needs in order for the characters to make intelligent decisions about what to say and how to say it.
Right.
Do I need to read it again but slower?
No, 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 no. No, it's exactly right. I had in another session I was in, they were talking about if something is wrong with your dialogue, you have to look at the two people speaking and look at basically these things. You know who they are. They're your characters, you know their biography and all this stuff. But one thing could be missing, and it's that emotional state. In that point in time, how are they feeling? Did they just get out of a car accident and now they're talking to a loved one? Or did they just find out
Right.
they were fired and all that stuff? So all of that can help you shape really good dialogue. It can't be that same character behaves or speaks the same throughout the entire story.
He also says that what you expect from the people you talk to affects the way that you say.
Yeah.
So I would say something differently to my brother than I would to my husband. The same thing I would say differently because I know they'll take it differently. And because I know them both so well, I know how they both like how their brains work.
Yes.
So you have to take that into consideration when you're like when you read a book and the detective is talking to the victim. He's going to talk differently to the victim than he's talking to another detective, than he's talking to the suspect,
Mhm.
even though they're talking about the same thing.
Yes. It's brutal sometimes, that particular example. I have another example. I have friends, you know,
That's three.
but I have friends when I go to buy cards, if I buy cards. I buy cards and don't send them. I have a pile of cards over there. But anyway, I have a friend who is, and I've known these for all these people the same length of time, just about. And the only thing different about them, other than they're different people, is me. I'm buying cards for each of those people. When it's Kathy's birthday or something special in Kathy's life, I buy something that's sweet and says about how much she means to me and our friendship, and I send her memes with hearts and hugs. When I send something to Hillary or say something to Hillary, it starts with profanity, and I also say, "And I hope you die," or something like that, in a humorous way.
And then at the end of this page, 285, he says, "You want to write your dialogue so well an actor could perform it."
Yeah.
And that is actually how I write dialogue, is I visualize them. Like, a lot of my scenes are right now taking place in her bakery, which is set in St. Augustine, which I'm very familiar with, so I'm able to do this. And I picture the whole scene in my head of where they're sitting at in the bakery, how everything's going, where they're standing when they're talking. If you can't do it while you're writing, it's going to be hard for your readers to be able to visualize it.
Yeah.
So make sure that what you're writing is something that someone could be like, this would make a great movie.
Mhm.
And they don't have to change. I mean, yes, they're going to change everything because a movie is never as good as the book, but they're not going to have to change it because you didn't do it well.
Right. I will say, anything else in that section?
I highlighted a couple more things in that section. I also highlighted that you are supposed to focus on making the dialogues clear, sharp, purposeful, necessary,
That's a good one.
and active. I have read books where I'm like, what was the point of that banter that just happened?
Yeah.
I've gotten to the end of books and been like, so were you just trying to get your word count? Why was that in there? Because that had nothing to do with anything. So make sure what you're writing is necessary. And then he says, I strongly encourage, he's encouraging. I strongly encourage rookie writers to keep their cast design small and stories simple. And as I'm reading this part, he's talking about making it your dialogue scenes two people. Maybe a third person, but he says that it becomes too complicated when you try to add in more than two. And I realized that so far, all of my dialogue in my book has been two people, with the exception of one scene. There's a third person, and he's in the dialogue for like that much of the page.
Interesting.
And I'm a rookie writer, so I'm following the rule without even realizing I was supposed to be following the rule.
Well done, you.
And then the last thing that I have highlighted in this section is understand your character's intentions is the most important factor in writing killer dialogue. It puts you into a more focused state, which makes it easier to lose yourself and fully inhabit your characters.
Excellent points. I will say,
You didn't highlight anything in this section?
no, I highlighted all.
Oh, okay. I was like, buddy.
All the same things. And when we get to, when the title of this particular chapter, write actionable or craft actionable dialogue, I didn't understand the title when I first read it. It's like, well, dialogue. This section is about dialogue, is what my brain said. Okay, it's about dialogue. What do you mean making it actionable? Dialogue is speaking. I mean, you might be speaking while you're doing something, so I didn't quite get it until I read that and until I read the How a Master Did It. And I think in the How a Master Did It, which he uses Death of a Salesman, a classic play and turned into a movie written by Arthur Miller, he goes through the dialogue and through everything in a particular exchange, and he has the line of dialogue, and then he puts the action there. Like, what is he doing? One example would be, look, it isn't a question of whether I can sell, is it? That's the dialogue. And the action is that character assuring the other character he can do the job he seeks. So that's the action. He's using his dialogue to do that. And so that made that completely clear to me, that the best dialogue is trying to achieve something, and every line of that dialogue is going to be one character trying to move another character or express something or do something. So really like how he broke out the how a master did it in this particular one.
My dog is trying to get my attention. His little he's like this on my leg and he keeps going.
Aw. Is it
So
Charlie?
we're gonna sit back and we're gonna pet him for a second.
Okay.
And if he gets in the camera, his name is Charlie.
Okay.
Buddy. So sorry. I just can't ignore him any longer.
No.
So good.
So next is the how you do it. And he then talks about how to write killer dialogue. And each one of those instructions is really good. I'll read a couple of them. Writing killer dialogue takes hard work. Make peace with this fact now and commit to doing the work. He talks about getting clear on the worldview and the biography of your characters. And one that stuck out for me was, what specifically do they need? And why do they think they can get it from the person they're speaking to? And one other one I highlighted was, even if you're writing fiction, write as if your dialogue will be acted, like you mentioned that. That was one of the ones I highlighted. And there are a lot more. And again, as we always say, when you get to the how you do it, you should actually do it. All right. Did you have any that you liked in this section of how you do it, Amy?
I'm only gonna highlight a couple of things, but the only thing I'm gonna add is you said, even if you're writing fiction, write as if your dialogue will be acted. The very bottom of that same section, it says dialogue exists to help the character obtain what they need.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes back to, is what your characters say, is it necessary and important?
Wow. Yeah.
If it's not, take it out. It doesn't need to be there. If you have too much in your book, this is coming from a reader perspective. If you have too much in your book that is unnecessary, I will stop reading it.
Yeah.
You're wasting my time. And I am one of those people, I am not afraid to DNF. I only have so much time and I will DNF. I know other people that are like, oh, but I feel so bad. Author doesn't know. It's not like you're writing them a letter and saying, by the way, I hated
Yes.
your book.
No.
I'm not reading any more of it. You don't do that. You just put it away and you start another one. Donate it. Let someone else enjoy it.
Right.
It's just not for me. And I'm okay with it. All right. Mini final exam.
All right. And then the continuing ed that he did was A Visit from the Goon Squad, another Pulitzer Prize winning novel. And that is chapter 22. The last chapter we're doing today is chapter 23.
Chapter 23.
Hide
Which is
meaning.
hide meaning.
Okay. So hide meaning. Go ahead, Amy.
Let the audience add up 2 + 2 and they'll love you forever.
That is a really good quote,
And
actually.
that was Ernst Lubitsch. I'm sorry, Ernst, if I messed up your name. He is or was a filmmaker. I'm not quite sure when he said that. But it goes back to what I said earlier in the video. You need to have the pieces in there so that your audience can figure it out. It may be hard and they may not be able to figure it out. But if they can't figure it out, it's not because you didn't put the information in the story for them to do it. It just may have taken different brain cells than a particular watcher has, and it's okay.
All right. So in the last chapter, Craft Actionable Dialogue, we explored the importance of writing dialogue that is fueled by specific intention, so it drives your narrative forward, sparks conflict, and forces characters to respond in a way that reveals who they are. This principle, hide meaning, is its sister. When characters are actively trying to influence each other, but the meaning of what they're saying is hidden, things get interesting. And they certainly do. That's some of the best dialogue, best storylines I've ever seen, is when they're not saying exactly what they mean.
Could you imagine if we always said exactly what we mean?
I don't know if life would be harder or easier.
It depends on if you're the speaker or the hearer.
That's true. That's very true.
Okay. So at the bottom of how it works, I have highlighted when you make life easy for your characters, they don't have to do the work that's necessary to grow.
Yeah. And then they're boring.
And we don't do boring.
We don't
I
read
mean, I don't do boring.
we
You
don't read
shouldn't be
boring.
boring either.
No.
Anything else you want to say about that?
I'm gonna just repeat the same line written differently because it bears repeating. When characters hide what they mean, it's more entertaining and psychologically interesting. So that's why it's important to obfuscate.
And what we hide says as much as, if not more than, what we reveal.
Right? That's such a good line, too. Yes. All right. Anything else in how it works?
Nope. How a Master Did It, The Remains of the Day. Did you read it?
I saw the movie. It is one of the best. What's his name? The actor who's in this. Gosh, I can't remember his name. One of the best actors today. He's the same guy who did Hello, Clarice.
Oh, Hannibal. Hannibal Lecter.
That's the other character. This character is Mr. Stevens, the head butler of Darlington
I
Hall.
love him. Actually, I think
He's still alive as of this record.
okay.
I don't know why I can't remember his name.
I have to look it up now because
You look it up.
I need to know. And I know as I'm looking it up, I'm going to think of it.
Yeah. What Mr. Rubin does for this How a Master Did It, it's a book or screenplay, 1993, Remains of the Day, a screenplay by Ruth Prauer and Javabla, based, again, I don't know if I'm saying that right, based on the novel by Kazuo Ishiguro. Apologies to all those people. But I love how he puts if it's a screenplay, he puts the screenplay writers in here. Thank you for honoring the writers. Of course, this is a writer's book, but still, kudos. The story is so sad and depressing. It's beautifully acted out, but it's just heartbreaking. And what Mr. Rubin does is he gives you the story background, as he does with all of the How a Master Did It. But then he pulls out the particular point of that story or scene or dialogue that he wants you to pay attention to. And what he does in this one is he pulls out the dialogue and he shows you exactly what they say and what they are doing in that scene and what it means. And then he gives you an example in the first scene. I'm not going to read the dialogue, but in the first scene, neither of them is saying what they really mean. They want something from each other. And one of them is afraid. Yeah, so afraid. And the other one is being, demure, so to speak. But they don't say what they mean. And it's just a heartbreaking scene because nobody gets what they want. And then he takes that exact same scene and he said, what if they said exactly what they meant? And he does the dialogue again. And it's ludicrous. What if they said what they meant or what they were thinking? It would be ludicrous. So I think that's an excellent way to illustrate the point of, hide.
And it's Anthony Hopkins.
Thank you. Thank you, Sir Anthony Hopkins. Love him. He's so good in everything.
Yes, he is.
All right. Did you have anything about that particular How a Master Did It or his example or illustration?
Not on that. I only wanted to bring up a couple of things and how you do it. So is there anything you wanted to say and how you do it?
No, let's move on let's do how you do it.
Okay. So I have highlighted 3 points. The first one is how much information about the characters and plot you reveal adds even more complexity to these choices. So you need to always be in conversation with yourself about what it is you're exploring.
Mm.
And then the next point is write out the first drafts of dialogue stating exactly what the characters mean. Then return to the draft and write backwards to hide what they really mean. So basically, the example he just gave, write out the second part where he wrote what they really mean, and then change it to the first part of what they actually said.
Mm.
Which is an interesting way to, and I think a good exercise for that is, can you, with your current dialogue, do that?
Yeah.
Does it connect? If it doesn't, you might need to change your dialogue.
Brand. Yes. I highlighted the next one after that, actually. It's think carefully through each line of dialogue. Exactly why are the characters hiding what they mean? Is it due to fear or shame? Or maybe even they don't know what they're trying to say. And I will give you an example. I have a scene with two women on a rooftop in Vegas having a discussion. And I wrote that scene, I don't know how many times. And I finally said, I'm done. I've communicated what I want to have communicated here. And I had somebody else read it. And they said, is this a spy novel? It's like, no, but the other woman is a former spy. And the other woman is the sister of the former spy. So they have, when you have sisters, that relationship is going to be fraught. There's going to be code. There's going to be encoded with history.
Yeah.
And the feedback I got on that particular scene is like, they're both so angry, but it's, and they're not, but I'm not sure what's happening, but I'm afraid and I'm looking forward to see what's happening next. And I'm like, great, that's exactly what I wanted you to get from the scene. You should be afraid because one of the characters is capable of great violence. So, anyway, yeah, I think this is a good, really good how you do it, and definitely to work on your own scenes. Did you highlight anything else or any others stick out for you?
The last, I think it's the only other part. Yeah. Last one I highlighted is the very last point. And he says, you'll know you have it when you feel that your dialogue is filled with hidden meaning, but not so much hidden meaning that it's impossible to decipher what's going on. Great dialogue makes you think about the nuance of your characters and the layers of your theme, and also drives your narrative forward.
Mm,
So, like I said before, if it's not necessary, don't put it in there. Your
yeah.
dialogue should have a point and it should move everything forward.
That's a really important point.
Right.
Drive your narrative forward. I've had to cut, like You Kill Your Darlings, I've had to cut scenes. They had great jokes in them. They were funny. People said they were funny. They didn't, I wrote them because they were funny and I wanted people to laugh, but I couldn't make it move the story forward. There was no, so I had to cut them.
You can make those part of your Substack when your books come out.
I can. I should. I shall.
By the way, she has a Substack. I should go read it.
I just,
Okay.
yeah.
So
Okay.
then there's the final exam and the continuing ed.
No Country.
No
That
Country
was,
for Old Men. Yep.
there's No Country for, which I did see. I see a lot of the Coen Brothers stuff. That's a 2007 film, super dark. And that scene, if you have seen that scene, that dialogue that he quotes in there, I just reading it again, I got like, woo, jeez, got like edge of my seat, like, oh my gosh, I remember this. But very good examples and very good, both the main story that he uses and the continuing ed and what he says to do with the continuing ed to figure out what the meaning is. All right. So that is chapter 23, and we are done.
2 more videos. We have the next one we're going to do, which is the last couple of chapters. And then we're going to do a wrap up video. I'm not sure when that was going to come out, but we're almost done.
Yeah.
And I do have to say that usually when we're done with a book, because like I told you guys, I read a book, I take it, but then I forget. There are some books I will keep so that I can reference back to them. And then there's other books I get rid of so people can enjoy. I will be keeping this one. This one will be going right on the shelf so that I can reference back to it.
This is a good one.
And I didn't realize how many books I gave away. I get rid of until this last week. I was actually going through my books and sending some out the door. There's a pile of them that we have done that I got rid of that I was like, but I'm never going to look at this book again. Yeah.
And you just let it go.
Just let it go. My office is only so big.
Yeah.
I mean, my husband is going to build me floor to ceiling all the way around the room, bookshelves. But y'all haven't seen my TBR. So,
Yeah. Yeah. You guys, would you please go ahead and like and subscribe and tune in to the next episode? And also, if you have suggestions for other books you'd like to see us read or review or talk about on the show or writing conferences or author stuff, please send it our way. But thank you. Bye.